So what if I told you that we just might take the 3-wood, the club that you love to hate, from being a club you really struggle with, to a club that you feel you can get a good solid strike on it, get a decent distance, and you know what's going to happen every single time. Now, to be fair, you might say, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to stand up there off a good tee shot, and I'm going to get that ball forward like I've been told, make a swing, and cold top it every single time. And I think most guys watching this video probably will say that they either top it, fat it, thin it, but very, very rarely get that one out the middle of the club face in play in a decent distance. So let's talk about what you're probably doing wrong, but most importantly, what you need to do. So a lot of golfers talk about, got to get that ball forward. We've got to feel like we kind of sweep the ball away. But the problem is, even when I'm trying to sweep it there, you can see that the club's actually touching behind where the golf ball would be. So the club's going to travel up, and at best I'm going to get that thin one off the bottom of the club. But if I miss the ground back here and come back even more, that's the top one, or I bury the club in there. So I want you to think about 3-wood relative to how you would hit like a 7-iron. So with the 7-iron, we know, as it is with every club, that the club head's moving in a circular motion around the body. And we want the lowest point of the golf swing to be ahead of the golf ball. And generally speaking, the low point will be very much kind of that lead armpit. So you can see, if I were to set up with the ball there, my low point should be just slightly ahead. Now, what you would do with a 7-iron is you would have the ball much more in the middle. But the problem with that with 3-wood is, even if I get my low point ahead, we can see the low point's way ahead of the ball there, 7 inches ahead, 6 degrees launch angle. And even though for me that's worked out okay, the one advantage I've got is that even at 6 degrees there, I'm swinging it fast enough that the ball can continue. But for lots of golfers out there, they don't have that speed. So what we're going to say is, we're going to move the ball a little bit forward. But if we were to get the ball too far forward, that is going to be the issue. But if we can make sure that that ball's maybe just inside my lead heel, obviously the shaft's long on this club and there's not a lot of loft, but we are wanting that little bit of forward lean so we continue ball and then ground. But it is a balancing act with 3-wood, and it is tough. So even for me, sometimes when I'm there, I can feel there's that little bit of shaft lean at address. I know I'm going to get my low point ahead of the golf ball. And I've managed to launch that one up in the air, but the low point's just slightly behind. But it's actually a very good result. Now, even though my low point's just slightly behind the ball there, my club's almost traveling level with the ground, which I think is what people talk about sweeping the ball. But we don't want that. We want that club head just moving down very slightly through the ball. So that change at setup of having the ball a little further back and understanding that we want that low point ahead is the first thing you need to do if you want to start striking 3-wood. Now, the second thing that I think golfers struggle with a lot is, even if they get that low point ahead of the golf ball, they struggle with how low the bottom of the arc tends to be. So what you'll see with some golfers is they come back above the ground, and even if my low point's ahead, I'm just going to hit the top of the ball into the ground, or they get the bottom of the arc much lower. Even though the low point would be ahead, I'd make contact back there. So a great feeling to stop that club kind of burying into the ground is, we're going to swing back as normal. You're going to shift towards the target, but as you're coming into impact, you want to feel that that lead hip is moving up and out, and you want to almost feel that you're nice and stretched on the way through with your chest looking up. And that's going to stop the bottom of the arc being too low and crashing into the ground. And if you can control the height of the arc, and get skimming the ground, we're going to get nice loft, can actually create a little bit more speed, and like I said, really start hitting that 3-wood fantastically well from the ground. So I'm now set up well, I'm understanding about low point ahead, I want to feel kind of I'm a much more tall as a finish. So I'm going to take aim. There's my little baby fade, which I don't mind, but 103 mile an hour club speed, low point 1.7 inches ahead, launching just under 10 degrees, height 96 feet, 242 carry and 260 total. And the speed thing is important because even if you deliver the club well with 3-wood, if you're slow, and there's my 9-degree launch, low point ahead, 69 mile an hour club speed, only 17 feet off the ground, and we can see 110 carry and 160 total. So it is important. I mean, this video is about 3-wood, but if your club head speed isn't quick enough, 3-wood won't work anyway. You might need to get into 5-wood or 7-wood. But like I said, we're going to have that low point ahead. So we know that we're going to touch the ground, but we need to make sure we don't get too deep into the ground. And that's where getting that lead hip up and out of the way, almost feeling that lead shoulder is moving up through the shot. And that's going to create speed, control the bottom of the arc. And then let's go for my best 3-wood possible. And there we can see 9-degree launch, nearly 103 mile an hour club speed, 2 inches behind, 71 feet peak height, 244 carry and 270 total. So it's really important that we understand we get that low point ahead and control the bottom of the arc. And if you can do those, couple of little things, that 3-wood just might become your new favourite club, but if the 3-wood's not quite there, try it with 5-wood and 7-wood, and it really will transform the way you hit your fairway woods and 3-wood particular from the ground.